Hi, this is Elizabeth Johnson and with Southern Embellishment, and I am here today to reveal my tome for the Booksmith Classics Challenge. This has been so fun to be a part of. Thank you, Nick, for putting it together, and thank you everybody who's participating, because I have so enjoyed watching the videos. I haven't seen them all yet, but the ones I've seen, y'all are doing a fantastic job. I only have 10 minutes, so I want to try to keep moving instead of running my mouth off. But when I was watching the video of Nick announcing the challenge, this is the book that immediately came to my mind. It's not necessarily because it's my very favorite, but I just got to thinking of all the things I could do with the book, so that's a big reason why I chose it. I read it when I was in high school, and it's always, the storyline has always stuck with me, but I just thought this would be a fun tome to do. So I will get right into it. I have it covered with a vintage piece. I took a vintage coverlet and made this cover for it, and it has this gorgeous fringe trim on it. And I just thought it would be nice to have the cover. It's got some sari silk that has some red in it too. And so let's get right into this. And then there's a little secret about this cover that I'll come back to at the very end. And so let's open it up and get started. And you should be able to tell right here what my classic is that I chose, and it is the Scarlet. When I thought about this book, a couple things immediately came to mind. One was I envisioned this embroidery Scarlet A, and the tapestries. This was the A that Hester Prynne, the main character, wore, and then the tapestries, Arthur Dimmesdale, which was another one of the main characters, he had tapestries in his study. It talks about that. It talks about Hester making her living with her beautiful embroidery, her beautiful needlework. So I knew I wanted those two elements all throughout this book. My oldest daughter, Leanna, she has an embroidery machine, so I asked her if she would do this for me. So isn't that beautiful? And then on the cover, or I'm sorry, the spine cover, she did this. This is all embroidery too. And then I just gilded it with the gold gilder's paste. And so that's the name of the book, The Scarlet Letter. And I love this technique because these spines look so antique. They look just so original and old, and I just love them. And so I was so happy. She painted it and she embroidered. So I can't take credit for all of it, just the idea. And she embroidered this for me to put on the tome. And then it's got this gorgeous tapestry behind the embroidered A, and it's got it on the back too. And you'll see lots of sari silk and twine and sticking out. So let's get right into the book, because I need to keep this at 10 minutes. I'm already almost halfway there. So the book begins, the book was written in 1850, but the storyline is set in the year 1642 to 1649. It was written by Nathaniel Hawthorne, and in his introduction, in the book, he talks about working at the customs house, and he came across this stack of papers, and in the papers was a Raggedy A, and then the papers began to tell of, let me do it this way. Papers began to tell of Hester Prynne and Arthur Dimmesdale. And I have these gorgeous envelopes that I made. And then Roger Chillingworth. And so it tells about the main characters, and so that's where he began to tell the story then. And so inside of these is just a nice journaling spot that you can journal with. Just Each one has a tea-dyed aged paper that you can journal in, but I thought it'd be fun to add those. So that's how he was inspired, he said, to write this tale of the Scarlet Letter. So those are included with the book. I didn't attach them, that way whoever receives this gets to put them where they want. But here's the first signature. On each signature I started out with a picture of the character that signature represents. So this one, this is a synopsis of the Scarlet Letter. This is a biography and his family history of Nathaniel Hawthorne. And then I left, the pages are all coffee dyed, tea dyed. I left a lot of journaling space, a lot of space for the recipient to place their thoughts and their ephemera in. But I did do, I have this paper clipped down because I didn't want it to keep sliding around on the page. But I have this little tapestry tag with a little flower snippet showing Hester's needlework throughout the whole tome. And so these book pages here, each signature has them. They all come from the book, not the original, but a book that I had in my possession. And so each of those, they come. I try to keep it at least 99% all Scarlet Letter. So pockets here. The tuck spots, they're made out of the book pages from the book, and with some tags and journaling spots. And then in the center of this first one it says Province of the Massachusetts Bay, and it's about a loan that was made there in 1771. Back, each the last page of each section has a page of whatever. This is like the author, which we had Nathaniel Hawthorne, whatever that signature represents, whoever that is, the page from the book that represents that, and then some ephemera. And then the second signature here is Hester Prynne, a photograph of her. And so then I put a lot of needlework through here, and here is an embroidered tag done by my daughter, and it is gorgeous. It's roses, and I added lace at the bottom, and it is gorgeous. But you know, in the story, Hester was just phenomenal at her needlework, and so I knew that needed to be showcased in here. Here is doily with some buttons, and then her page, Hester Prynne's page in the book, one of her pages. I thought about the buttons, but I know Puritans didn't use buttons, but I wanted to. Buttons are pretty. I wanted them in there. Also, the original book was thought, well, let me just recreate the original look of the original book, but it was just a brown. And I thought that's boring, so I had to do something different. This is Pearl signature, and I put a lot of like I said, she was in the woods, and so I put ephemera, birds, and there's some butterflies in here. I think maybe some flowers. I really liked. Pearl was learning her mother's trade, and so that is a sampling of Pearl's stitching, and you notice that she capitalized the A. She was always so super intrigued by the A on her mother's chest, and so she capitalized the A because she wanted it to look like her mother's, and it bothered her mother that she was so intrigued by the A, but Pearl said that is the most beautiful letter in the alphabet because it's on my mother's heart. So she didn't see all of, or understand all that was behind it. She just thought it was beautiful because she loved her mother and her mother wore it. That's just a little doily and lace and some pearls for Pearl. And then this is Arthur Dimmesdale, Hester Prynne, and Pearl all together. And there's this will be more about Arthur. There was a quote when Hester finally took off the A and cast it aside. She said she had not known the weight until she felt the freedom. Put a little library card in here of, I didn't put the year, but it would have been a library card where I took it out of the library and read it. It was required in school back then. I don't know if it is now, but as you see here in this picture of Arthur and Pearl and Hester, he's got his hand over his heart, and he did that quite frequently because he was so tormented, and so and he scarred his chest with the letter A, and Pearl said, "Will he always?" This is another embroidery quote. "And will he always keep his hand over his heart?" The last signature is Roger Chillingworth, and throughout his I put these images of herbs and flowers and plants that was used for medicinal purposes back in the 1600s, because that's what he did. He made up tinctures and different things for medication. He also tormented, when he realized that Arthur Dimmesdale was the father of the child, he also tormented him and medicated him and helped with the demise of Roger Dimmesdale. So that is my tome for the Classics Challenge. Nick, thank you for the opportunity of allowing us to be part of that. And one more little tidbit, I'm out of here, is Nathaniel Hawthorne's Scarlet Letter was the first book ever to be mass produced. So I thought that was an interesting tidbit. I've got to tell you the secret in the cover, because Hester wanted to keep all of this for Pearl, but she made a secret pocket in the cover, because not everybody, it wasn't for everybody's eyes, but in here I took the liberty to write a letter to Hester. Whoops, this way, I'm sorry. It's to Hester from Arthur Dimmesdale, and it is 2 pages long, but he's talking about his apologies to Hester for being so hypocritical and weak and not standing with her and not, allowing her to suffer the humiliation by herself, and about his personal torment within him of unresolved issues. So that is hidden away for Hester and Pearl's eyes only. And so thank you, Nick. Y'all have a great day. Make something beautiful.